Hey, this is Sam. Welcome to BNS About Movies. Some people think that cinema is a window into the soul, but for today's subject, it's more like a window into a nudist colony on the moon. And today we're going to talk about the undisputed queen of sexploitation, a woman who looked like your grandmother, but who directed more grime and roughies than almost anyone. I'm talking about Doris Wishman. Born in the Bronx in 1912, Doris didn't start out wanting to be a titan of the grindhouse. She actually spent the 50s as a film booker and actress, supposedly even taking classes with Shelley Winters. But in 1958, tragedy struck. Her husband died just 5 months after they're married. Doris was 46, a widow, and needed, in her own words, something to fill the hours. Most people would take up knitting, bingo, some other things. She took 10 grand from her sister and made a nudist movie. So if you think about the time in the 50s, she didn't just break the glass ceiling. She shattered it. And from the sci-fi weirdness of movies like Nude on the Moon, to fantasy for the New York censors, to the legendary Deadly Weapons films with Chesty Morgan, Wishman's style is unmistakable. Weird angles, abrupt jump cuts to inanimate objects, and a handheld guerrilla energy. She outlasted the censors, survived the rise of hardcore, which she hated, by the way, and even dabbled in the slasher genre with A Night to Dismember. By the time she passed away in 2002 at the age of 90, she had a cult following that included the likes of Roger Ebert and John Waters. She was a pioneer who proved that if you want to make a movie, you don't need a permit or a permission slip. You just need a camera. Let's talk about Doris Wishman. Maybe grab some popcorn. Maybe make a drink. Maybe turn down the lights.
Do you know that the female breast, known to be the source of life since Eve, can be deadly weapons? This is the story of Crystal, who danced her way to murder.
What's the matter?
Nick, talk!
That lying son of a bitch!
She avenged her lover's death with the only weapons she had, and they were deadly weapons. She was his tool to be loved and then cast aside until he met his fate by the deadly weapons. Captain Hook, a diabolical killer with a passion for women. This is a film that is fast, furious, thrilling, above all, exciting. What were the voices in the night that consumed her with fear? Why did he want to destroy her?
Pretty good shot there, Captain Hook.
Tony, you call me Captain Hook once more. I'll blow your brains out.
Another victim who paid for his crimes with the deadly weapons. This is a super movie with all the impact of a punch in the gut.
Yeah, you got the job.
Doomed. She knew too much. See the biggest event in the history of motion pictures. Deadly weapons.
Deadly Weapons is probably a great place to start. It stars Liliana, I'm going to not pronounce this correctly, Wilkazauka. Let's, maybe, Carolyn, could you please help?
Oh, hello, Samuel. So thrilled to help. Ilana Weich, and also known as Liliana Wilczkowska and Lilian Stello, is a Polish-born, retired exotic dancer of Jewish descent, who also starred in 2 films directed by Doris Wishman. Morgan was billed as having a 73-inch bust measurement. I hope your mother is proud that you did an entire Doris Wishman episode about big breasts. I'm going to call her now. Patty? Hello. This is the ghost of Carolyn de Fonseca. I'm friends with your son, Sam. Yes, Goofus. He's doing a podcast about pornographies. What? He was engaged to an exotic dancer once? Oh, Patty. I'm so sorry. I've been picked as the guardian angel of his show, and I swear I'm going to make him behave.
Anyway, she was born in Poland and orphaned by the Nazis. She grew up in Israel, moving in the U.S. in 1957 to marry her husband Joseph 10 days after they met. Her husband and one of his meat market employees died in a robbery in 1965. So by the 70s, she was using her 73, 32, 36 body as an exotic dancer. I just want to explain to you how inhuman her body is. And I don't mean that negatively. We're not about body shaming. We're not about negative images. She is not built like a normal person.
To understand Chesty Morgan's proportions, you have to look at the sheer mathematical outlier she represents in the context of human anatomy. Let's compare Morgan's reported peak measurements against the average statistical profile of a woman in the United States, based on current CDC and national health data. At 73 inches, Morgan's bust measurement was nearly double that of the average woman. For perspective, her bust circumference was greater than her own height, 65 inches. Guinness World Records cited her as having the largest bust on record for a film star. And while an average proportion today tends toward a more rectangular or apple shape, with the waist often matching or exceeding the bust, Morgan maintained a 32-inch waist. This created a 41-inch differential between her waist and bust, an anatomical feat that gave her a gravity-defying silhouette. The average woman in the U.S. weighs approximately 170 pounds. While Morgan's exact weight fluctuated, the sheer mass of her chest, often cited as weighing over 30 pounds per side, meant that her center of gravity and physical carriage were entirely different from an ordinary person, requiring specialized support and causing the distinct, upright posture seen in her films.
She used the name Zsa Zsa Chesty Gabor, dancing mainly to pay for her 2 young daughters. She made it all the way to the Combat Zone, which was in Boston, the red light clubs, and took on the name Chesty Moore. She would often dance to Tom Jones' Delilah, and she would often allow men to touch her breasts to prove they were real. And I get it, right? Like, just like Doubting Thomas wanted to put his fingers into Jesus's nail holes in his hand. She wore bras specially made by a company in Texas called Command Performance, and she'd often appear with 2 small people, each carrying a breast. She married and quickly divorced National League umpire Dick Stello and then appeared in 2 of Doris Wishman's films. She's also the only person I can think of that's in a Wishman movie and a Fellini film, as she was cut out of Casanova. She kept dancing 4 months a year. She made about $8,000 a week and doing real estate in the off-season until 1991 when she was 54 years old. Tired of the constant legal battle, she became a landlady. It's just as she became famous all over again when John Waters featured a scene from Deadly Weapons in his film Serial Mom. She plays Crystal, an ad exec whose lover Larry has just been killed. How does one get revenge? Well, most people would use the legal system. Some people would push it really far and find someone to kill them. Instead, she drugs men and smothers man after man with her mams. There's Tony, who's Harry Reams, Captain Hook, and by the end, even her own father. Chesty seems always on the verge of falling asleep in this movie. She is not the best actress, but I don't think they're hiring her for her acting. Do you need more reasons to watch this? Well, the soundtrack is made up of library cuts, including KPM's music, KPM 1055 Dramatic Background. The song Hippie, you may know it from this. That's the trailer music for Torso.
Torso.
You also fall in love with the theme Hard Selling Woman by Mike Leese with the Studio G's Beat Group. Despite how grimy this might feel at times, you may fall for the film too. There's really nothing else like it. And the sequel, the spiritual sequel, is even weirder, and that's Double Agent 73. Jane Tenay is Agent 73. Give her a name because she has 73 is in her bust size, right? I mean, that's what this movie's about. Her agency has sent her to kill heroin dealers one by one. After each murder, she has to take a photo of the dead body as proof. This really feels like a Golger 13 video game, doesn't it? Anyway, where is her camera? Her camera is inside her left breast. So she has to touch her breast and hit it. Also, I don't know why she's like the Snake Plissken of this universe.
That's not funny, Plissken. You go in, find the president, bring him out in 24 hours, and you're a free man.
24 hours, huh?
I'm making you an offer.
Bullshit.
Straight, just like I said.
I'll think about it.
No time. Give me an answer.
Get a new president.
We're still at war, Plissken. We need him alive.
I don't give a fuck about your war. Or your president.
She doesn't get her job done on time, her sweater meat will explode. If that all makes sense to you, well, you are the right person to be in the Wishman cinematic universe. Is she the same character as Deadly Weapons? Sure, fine. I mean, whatever. As she looks for crime boss Toplar, she starts to fall for a fellow agent named Tim. But could Toplar be someone she's already close to? In 2002, Doris was on Conan with Roger Ebert and let the world know she was still making movies like Dildo Heaven.
Conan,
I'm glad you're getting it now, and I'm over here.
Listen, I'm going to grill her a little bit. I have seen both of the Chesty Morgan pictures.
Yes.
And there's only really, I got to tell you, one reason that anybody want to see a Chesty Morgan picture, and that is to see Chesty Morgan nude. And we get all these shots of Chesty Morgan with clothes on. And I just wanted to kind of quiz you about that a little bit.
Well, I'm sorry you're frustrated. Oh, good Lord. Is there anything I can do?
Actually, Doris, the 8x10 glossy of Chesty Morgan that you gave me backstage was really a nice...
Was it nice?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'm going to wrap this thing up now.
We should all be praising the woman who said, after I die, I will be making movies in hell. The furniture in this movie didn't come from the past. It comes from a place beyond, a world where everyone has fake eyelashes and too much makeup and is barely able to walk on the highest of the high heels, where giant breasts can make a flash so huge it fills the entire screen. This world does not exist, but we can visit it for a few moments at a time and watch a secret agent cover her boobs with poison so a guy licks them off and dies. Also, in keeping with my theory that Doris and Bruno Mattei are cut from the same cloth, this has nudist footage from Blaze Stargo's Nudist and the same surgery scene from the movie we'll get to next. James Boston as Bill is played by Peter Savage, a boxer that grew up with Jake LaMotta and the person that wrote the book Raging Bull. He also made the movie Cauliflower Cupids, which I love. It took me forever to find. It has Jane Russell, Allendale, and several boxers, including LaMotta, Rocky Graziano, Willie Pep, Patty DeMarco, Tony Zale, and Petey Scalzo. Savage wrote, directed, and stars. It's a vanity production, but a very low-cost vanity production. I'd say Double Agent 73 may be one of the more coherent Doris Wishman movies, and yet it still makes no sense, and by that I mean it's incredible. The movie I was talking about, oh my gosh, this is modern for our times. Let Me Die a Woman, a movie that I do own, and when my wife saw that I got it, she said, why do you have to have that movie?
This theater will present an extraordinary movie, a motion picture that deals with the last sexual mystery. But it is much more than a motion picture. There are no actors or actresses in it. There are just real people. And what they do, and how they feel, and what happens to them in this all-real sexual adventure, you will remember all your life.
Last year, I was a man.
How does it feel to have the body of a man and the sexual drive and desires of a woman? Or to be trapped in a woman's body and have the overwhelming sensual needs of a man?
I always felt like a woman, even when I had a penis.
In only the past few years, we have been able to take a human being who has had this monstrous biological joke played on him or her, who was born with the genitals of one sex, but who possesses the heart, mind, and soul of the opposite sex, and reverse it. And, as you have noticed, in spite of her female breasts, still has a penis.
You are going to see for yourself, step by step, the operation that transforms a man into a woman.
I'd undergo the operation again and again.
When did you have sex with a man?
About 6 weeks after the operation. It was quite painful, but after the sexual act was over, I felt wonderful. I felt that finally I was a true female.
I went to bed with a young man, and maybe because he was the first, or maybe the surgery was still a fresh surgery, I bleed. I started bleeding, and so I didn't even have to tell him why, because the first thing he said was, God, you know, this is the first time in my 28 years that I've been with a virgin.
Let Me Die a Woman. An all-real, all-true, overwhelming experience.
Because I'll go anywhere Doris Wishman wants to take me. She's able to be so many directors in her approach and remain herself. Here, she's in the world of Ed Wood and Kroger Babb, making a movie that it seems like it wants to educate you, but really it wants to show you graphic surgery. And that graphic surgery is a man's penis being sliced into a vagina in full detail. In fact, this same footage was used for the South Park episode Mr. Garrison's Fancy New Vagina. This features Dr. Leah Woolman, founder of the Harry Benjamin International Gender Dysphoria Association, now the World Professional Association for Transgender Health, which wrote its first standard of care for transgender healthcare. It was also the science and medicine advisor of the movie. You also get interviews and moments with other transgender individuals, including Deborah Harton, who transitioned all the way back in 1970 and became one of the first divorcees due to transitioning. She also sued the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene for refusing to update her sex designation on her birth certificate. Wishman started filming this in 1971 and debated titles like Adam or Eve and Strange/Her. Then she found Leslie, an attractive trans person who would provide the main interview in the film, yet seems to nearly hate every other trans person she's ever met, even comparing herself at one point to Anita Bryant if you are younger. Carolyn, do you want to explain that?
Anita Bryant was the 1958 Miss Oklahoma, a chart-topping pop singer with hits like Paper Roses and the sunny, wholesome face of the Florida Citrus Commission. But today, she's remembered as the ultimate real-life heavy, a villain who didn't need a rubber mask or a butcher knife to cause genuine terror. Here's the breakdown on why she's the ultimate final boss of 70s intolerance. In 1977, Dade County, Florida, passed an ordinance that prohibited discrimination based on sexual orientation. Bryant, a devout Southern Baptist, didn't just disagree. She went on the warpath. She formed Save Our Children, a political coalition built on the kind of paranoid tropes you'd find in a mid-century scare film. She leaned hard into the recruitment myth, famously claiming homosexuals cannot reproduce, so they must recruit. It was a script written in fear, designed to cast a marginalized community as a predatory threat to the American family. Her campaign wasn't just talk, it had teeth. She successfully led the charge to repeal the Dade County Ordinance by an overwhelming margin. This victory didn't stay in Florida. It acted as a catalyst for a wave of anti-gay legislation across the country and gave birth to the moral majority. For gay people in the late 70s, Bryant represented a total erasure of their humanity. She used her platform as a wholesome celebrity to mainstream the idea that being gay was a moral contagion. It led to people losing their jobs, their housing, and their safety. Every great villain story has a turning point. For Bryant, it happened during a 1977 press conference in Des Moines, Iowa. While she was holding court, gay rights activist Tom Higgins stepped up and delivered a legendary kill shot, a strawberry rhubarb pie directly to her face. In true melodramatic fashion, Bryant didn't even wipe the filling off before she started praying for the deviant who threw it. It was a moment of pure, unscripted theater that signaled the beginning of the end for her brand. By the time the 80s rolled around, Bryant's career was in the dumpster. The orange juice boycott, backed by everyone from Jane Fonda to Rod Stewart, worked. The Florida Citrus Commission eventually dropped her. Her marriage ended in a very public divorce, which didn't sit well with her fundamentalist base, and she filed for bankruptcy, twice. Anita Bryant is a reminder that the most dangerous monsters don't always live under the bed or in a haunted castle in Italy. Sometimes they're standing in a sunny kitchen, smiling at you and telling you to drink your juice while they try to legislate you out of existence. Bryant is a 0 out of 10 on the human decency scale, but a 10 out of 10 for providing the spark that ignited the modern LGBTQ+ rights movement. She tried to bury the community, but she didn't realize they were seeds.
This movie has a total yin-yangness to this. For every positive thing, there's something truly deranged or negative. You get Dr. Woolman leading a support group in the same movie where there's a reenactment where a trans woman can't wait for her new vagina to heal, so she sleeps with the cab driver and sprays blood between her thighs in graphic detail. And the cab driver, well, that's Harry Reams. And the girl's Arlana Blue, who you may recognize as one of the cage victims of Blood-Sucking Freaks, the second murder victim in Massage Parlor Murders, and an adult actress who was in Invasion of the Love Drones, The Vixens of Kung Fu. What a great title. And Just Arno's Confession of a Young American Housewife. There's also a moment where a man uses a sharp-bladed hammer to attempt to remove his own member while you watch. And yes, that man is played by Vanessa Del Rio. And if you pick that up without IMDb, I'd shake your hand, but neither of us want to shake each other's hands, do we? That John who gets picked up in the park is Richard Towers, who used the name Greg Reynolds in Deadly Weapons, Tony Armada in Keyholes for Peeping, Joe Powers in Fleshbot on 42nd Street, and Gaylor St. James when he played Dr. John Collingwood in Last House on the Left. This ends with a long chroma key sex scene that feels like the images that Black Sabbath performed from on a European variety show, and then we'd watch it 10 years later at Headbangers Ball. I have no idea how to rate this movie. It's a documentary. It's not good. It's trash. Amazing. I also say that this, at best, is an embarrassing film for the trans community to watch. Part of me would like to think this film's heart is in the right place. Then again, this is a movie padded out with softcore inserts. It really is a singular film in the way, an oxymoron anyone. In the same way that Goodbye Uncle Tom is trash, yet a fascinating document of how far you can push cinema. When the weirdest part of your movie isn't a penis gun that shoots fluid and that's said to be an actual medical device, you know this is the kind of movie you need to experience. And that leads us to another Doris movie that is about this, The Amazing Transplant.
I'm afraid our Arthur wasn't quite the sweet boy we thought he was.
Don't say that.
Why did he kill? He was a demon. He dared what no man ever has. See the most daring level of human experimentation.
What's the matter, honey? Come on home with me.
Transplant.
Now, I've seen some strange movies, but Doris Wishman films feel like they belong to my favorite genre, movies made by beings not from our reality, beamed to us in the hopes that we won't notice that there isn't a single moment of normality in which they've been created. Arthur Barlin starts the movie by visiting his ex-girlfriend Mary to propose to her. As she happily celebrates, he catches a vision of her earrings, loses his mind, and chokes the life out of her in a way that only appears in Ruffies. The police are chasing him for the murder, while his mother, Anne, asks her police detective brother-in-law, Bill, to find her son. So, gosh, let me try to figure this out. I'll try to explain it. Dr. Cyril treated Arthur because the young man was upset about being a virgin. Dr. Cyril Hollis had an assistant, Felix. He loved Felix to the point that he glows when he talks about him. He also introduced Arthur to Felix, who tried to set him up on a double date. and ended up having sex with both women at the same time while Arthur helplessly watched. Yet Arthur also loved Felix, and once he realized that his friend was dying, he was surprised that Felix wanted to live on, giving Arthur his giant penis to replace his microphallus. However, once the surgery, which, trust me, it's a real surgery, it would happen every day, is complete, the sight of gold earrings makes Arthur insane with lust and anger. That isn't strange enough. Keep in mind that every environment has just a touch of strangeness. When we first see Mary, she's naked and playing a zither, a stringed instrument that looks like a miniature harp. Some of the apartments have paintings that look cursed. Another has a moose head. Yet another has a gigantic saddle, which causes Bill to ask the owner of this place, "Do you ride horses?" And she just says, "No, I came with the apartment." An entire wall of riding equipment, like how, Ponderosa used to have crap up on the wall, or Bonanza, or whatever Western themed restaurant was in your area. Why would she not redecorate? Speaking of Bill, he's just as creepy as his nephew, often eyeing women as they cross and across their thighs while telling him the horrifying assault they've endured, the hands and the transplanted wang of his brother's son. Wishman also made Let Me Die, Woman, like we just talked about. You'd expect this movie to have a gory penis moment, but no. It's a lone moment of self-restraint, a movie that starts with black and white images of its protagonist attacking women. It has a scene where he attacks a lesbian, causing her to throw up. Speaking of the young lady with the saddle on her wall, that's Miss Evans. She played by Kim Pope, who appeared in many of the golden age of adult, like The Passions of Carol, White Slavery in New York, and Deep Sleep. The first movie of Alfred Soule, who would go on to make Communion, a.k.a. Alice, Sweet Alice. Janet Banzette plays another victim, one who comes on to Arthur in the stairwell before he notices her earrings. Always those earrings. She was also in The Party at Kitty and Studs, the movie that starred the urban legend that Sylvester Stallone was in a hardcore film. Susanna Landau from Keyholes or for Peeping is also in this. Is this kind of a jolly? Is it a remake of The Hands of Orlok? Why is there happy jazz that plays throughout all the murder scenes? How bad can the dubbing get? Why is every home in this movie festooned with bric-a-brac? Why are there random shots of shoes and carpet? Why does a child's choir sing when one of the victims turns Arthur's attack into lovemaking? What did raincoaters, the people that went to grindhouses to see sex films, feel when they thought they were getting something to enjoy sexually and were confronted by this blast of Dada filmmaking? Stranger still, star Juano Fernandez started his career shooting second unit and acting in adult. He was given the name Harry Flex by director Gerald Damiano because he used an Aeroflex camera, before being the cinematographer or director of photography for movies like Legacy of Satan, Darktown Strutters, Carolean Witness, Human Experiments, The Prowler, The Nesting, Children of the Corn, Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter, Hollywood Vice Squad, and Red Scorpion in 1990s. He shot 8 episodes and directed 3 episodes of Walker, Texas Ranger, because after working on Joe Zito's Chuck Norris movies, Missing in Action and Invasion USA, he also shot Chuck's movies Braddock, Missing in Action 3, Delta Force 2, The Columbia Connection, The Hitman, Sidekicks, Hellbound, Top Dog, and Forest Warrior. I have seen many movies. The Amazing Transplant is up on the top of the list. Finally, my favorite of all Doris's movies.
What did they fear? Who wanted them dead?
Kill her! Kill her!
Why were they the immoral 3? They loved. They lusted.
Take your pick. Jane probably laid every man in that phone book.
What are you saying?
Wherever they went, violence followed.
Your mother was nothing but a whore.
Fate brought them together. Murder made them the immoral 3. There wasn't anything they wouldn't do to gain their own ends. You must see this exciting and suspenseful film, for we cannot reveal the secret of the immoral three.
There is a Doris Wishman cinematic universe in the same way that there's a Jess Franco cinematic universe, that there's a Fulci cinematic universe. Anybody that's made this many movies creates their own universe. This is also a sequel to Double Agent 73, as Shane Gennett, Chesty Morgan, is kind of the main character, even though she doesn't appear. She did not come back for this, as she upset Wishman when she caused her full shooting day the last time they worked together. In her brief moment in this film, she's played by Cindy Boudreau, but she's died after being strangled while sunbathing, and she has three daughters who have no idea that each other existed, are brought together for the reading of her will. They are Jenny, who is also Cindy Boudreau, Sandy, who is Sandra Kay, and Nancy, Michelle Marie. They're charged by the will to get revenge for their mother's death. If they kill her killer in a year, they each get $1 million. If one of them dies, they get $1.5 million. Do the math. If only one survives, they get a lot of money. If they all die, the lawyer gets some money. Is this a giallo? Yes, it is. There's a black glove killer on the loose. There are 4 suspects for who the killer could be. All 4 of these men could also be their fathers. Before we get to that part of the story, Kay randomly just decides to go down on a banana in front of a gardener, then do the same to him, while we see her banana-loving face superimposed over his. It's mind-numbing. It's as if Doris Wishman pushed stuff. This is not a hardcore film. This is softcore, barely softcore. It's not even sexual, honestly. Her films are so weird that I don't know who could get excited by them. Is Doris Wishman the American Jess Franco? Both have a banana love-making scene in their films. Is she the American Bruno Mattei? Both have no issues, just outright stealing shots. Sandy gets attacked by a grocery boy. Jenny makes love in an elevator for no reason other than she's in a Doris Wishman movie. Everyone's feet are focused on slow moving on thick shag carpet or just rolling in bed. Jenny does all the heavy lifting, heading off to Vegas and New York City, while the others stay in Fresno. Sandy is my favorite character because she has an oh shit belt buckle. So who are we to deny her lack of need to move this movie forward? Written by Judy J. Kushner, who also wrote the first 2 movies in this series, Deadly Weapons and Double Agent 73. They are not even connected. I mean, let's face it. And Robert John, who wrote the Yum Yum Girls and Blood Rage. This is another incredibly deranged movie. The whole thing ends like Shakespeare. And by that, I mean, spoiler warning, everyone dies, but not before you find out who the real dad is. You get declarations of love, and Doris's apartment plays Munich, Germany. Oh my God. Most of Doris Wishman's movies are shot in her apartment. That's why you're like, why is there so many accoutrements?
The accoutrement that you will need. Accoutrement? What is that shit?
Why is there so much accessorizing? Because we're in her apartment. We're seeing a window into her world. And it's a beautiful window. Oh my gosh. Let's talk about one more. I mean, I get so excited about these movies. Let's talk about Nude on the Moon. Why not, right?
Ready for countdown. Minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
The beginning of a new and unbelievable adventure. You will actually see it happen. The search for a secret paradise where a strange race of moon dolls rules supreme. Into a truly different adventure. See man's secret dreams come true in Nude on the Moon.
So, as I was looking for movies at one point that feature matriarchal societies. So many of them just end up being straight male gaze fueled fantasies. Or so you think. Because while this movie was made by Anthony Brooks and O.O. Miller, only one of those names is a man. Brooks may have been Raymond Fallon, the writer, director, editor, and one of the main actors at Too Young, Too Immoral, but O.O. Miller is really Doris Wishman, the woman who Joe Bob Briggs referred to as the greatest female exploitation film director in history. From a series of nudist colony movies to the other films we've talked about, stuff like Bad Girls Go to Hell, Satan Was a Lady. The truth is, this movie does introduce us to a female-run society on the moon, which for some reason is the occult created Coral Castle near Miami. Let's talk about Coral Castle. If you're looking for the ultimate project that a lonely guy did, look no further than Homestead, Florida and Coral Castle, a megalithic structure consisting of over 1,100 tons of oolite limestone, all supposedly built by one man, Edward Leetscullen. Standing only 5 feet tall, weighing around 100 pounds, Ed spent from 1923 to 1951 carving and moving these massive stones. The legend says he did it all for his sweet 16, his 16-year-old fiancée back in Latvia, who jilted him a day before their wedding. He built a stone throne room, a heart-shaped table, and even a children's playroom, hoping she'd eventually come to Florida to live with him. Spoiler warning, she never did. She may not have even existed, who knows? The engineering mystery is what this is all about. Ed mostly worked alone, at night, and in secret. People asked how he moved 30-ton slabs by himself. He'd simply say he knew the secret of the pyramids and understood the laws of weight and leverage. This has led to theories involving anti-gravity, magnetism, occult science. Because of the otherworldly hand-carved aesthetic, it's a go-to location for low-budget and cult filmmakers looking for a prehistoric or space vibe. Some movies shot there include The Wild Women of Wongo. The castle is the temple of the dragon god. You know, the primitive backdrop comes from the jagged walls here. In Search Of did an episode here called The Castle of Secrets, really talking about the alien technology.
In Search Of has investigated the mystery of many ancient monuments, the pyramids, Stonehenge, and Easter Island. A solution to these puzzles may be concealed in Florida's Coral Castle. This monumental structure was created by one man with his bare hands in the 20th century. What strange forces created this castle of secrets?
Billy Yeager, The Ineffable Enigma from 2016 was shot there. Jimmy the Boy Wonder in 1966. And Fury of the Karate Experts, which is one of my favorite movies. Why have not done it on the show yet? And of course, if you didn't guess, Jimmy the Boy Wonder is a Herschel Gordon Lewis movie. So the right people found it. But most importantly, Nude on the Moon also shot there. I first discovered Coral Castle because Billy Idol would always talk. His song Sweet 16 was about that. So when he would introduce it in concert, there's a female-run society on the moon. They're all topless. Yet, like many of the nudist films of the early 60s, this is quite innocent. And like many of them, this movie is not boring. Most of those movies are really boring. Sam, how can naked women be boring? Watch any of the nudist colony movies. They're the most boring movies you'll ever watch there. But Dr. Jeff Huntley has inherited millions in his uncle's will. Then it's going to go to the moon. Professor Nichols sees Huntley like a son and worries about how dangerous the moon could be. He's old, so he's ready to die. But he wants Huntley to live and find a wife. After all, the secretary, Kathy, is in love with him. He doesn't see it or doesn't care. All he wants to do is go to the moon. They get there wearing super bright jumpsuits with plenty of spaces for the lack of environment on the lunar surface to kill them. But instead, they end up at Coral Castle and they find an entire planet of clothing-free ladies led by the Moon Queen, played by Marietta, who is also the secretary, Kathy, who uses her psychic powers to make our young moon-obsessed friend get obsessed over her mountain peaks. I think Jeff has never seen a woman take her shirt off. Perhaps this explains why Jack Parsons blew himself after falling so hard for Marjorie Cameron. I mean, you get besotted with one little whore Babylon, you lose your security clearance, but still end up at the peak on the dark side of the moon named after you, and then you blow yourself up in a garage. Anyways, I digress. For two guys who planned a trip to the moon for years, they did not bring enough oxygen. They left their camera at home. No one is going to believe them that the lunar surface looks more like Blaze Starr's 2 O'Clock Club. It all works out because when the doctor discovers that the secretary, who's been ignoring forever, who sits and types the same letter all night long, hoping that he will notice her, looks just like the Moon Queen, they embrace. The camera dollies back to give them some privacy, and then the professor walks in on them and just looks on approvingly. He just stands there and watches and smiles and waves to the camera. Keep an eye out for Shelby Livingston, who just 3 short years later would be chopped to pieces just a few towns away in Kissimmee, Florida, in Herschel Gordon Lewis's 2000 Maniacs. Lacey Kelly's in this. She was also in Common Law Wife and Bunny Yeager's Nude Camera. There's also a moment where two space-loving men discuss Dr. Jeff going to a movie. They drive past the Variety Theater, which is showing Hideout in the Sun, another Doris Wishman film. Did Dr. Jeff realize that Pat Riley from that movie is also in this one? This movie has its own theme song, pretty cool when you think about it, World by Ralph Young, and it's called I'm Mooning Over You, My Little Moon Doll. It was arranged by, but not credited to, Doc Severinsen from The Tonight Show. While not the most feminist leading film ever, we can still point out the fact that the Moon Queen does rule her planet, and if you can breathe in the lack of air on the lunar surface, to be fair, The scientists have no idea what they've really come back from. Were they even on the moon? Was a solid dream? The scientists have no idea what they came back from. Were they on the moon? Was a solid dream? You can forget puritanical mumbo jumbo and just walk around the moon unfettered. It worked for Blaze Starr, who was smart enough to get 4% of the profits from the 1984 movie about her life, Blaze. Make your money. Anyways, there's so many Doris Wishman films. I think you should watch them all and get back to me.
This has been B&S About Movies. I'm the ghost of Carolyn DeFonseca, and you've been listening to Sam. The website is bnsaboutmovies.com, and you can donate at ko-fi.com/B&S-About-Movies. Thanks for listening. Even if this was a show where Sam said the phrase, sweater meat, what a chud.